Okay, this video is more metaphors for your health part 2. And of course you've already seen the last straw broke the camel's back and how all these things add up, but I got a better version of this for today. And here it is, because people a lot of times say to me, oh, everything in moderation, and they think they're being intelligent. And I always think when somebody says that, that they're a total ignoramus. There are so many things working against your health that the smart move is just do everything you can possibly that's under your control to improve your health. Because no matter what you do, there's going to be some bad stuff, okay? For example, here's one example of things that are just in the sky that you have no control over. So the healthier you are, the better you're able to detox that. And the more you can avoid it, the better. Avoid areas where that's common. Have a air filter in your house. All right, no matter what you do, you can't completely avoid this either. So do the best you can. There's other things like over here you can't completely avoid. Do the best you can to figure out how to come out okay as far as that's concerned. Alcohol, tobacco, MJ, that's all for idiots. Stay away from that stuff. I recommend zero. What are some of the other common things? Okay, get your sleep, get your sunshine. Eat the plant foods, you get all the stuff that's good for nutrition, fiber, magnesium, potassium, nitrates from the greens. Avoid chemicals. Anything that smells bad is bad for you. God gave you a nose for a reason. Lots of things that smell bad, they end up being SERCA inhibitors, sarcoplasm, endoplasmic reticulum, calcium ATPase inhibitors, okay? There's tons of mitochondria inhibitors. I have a talk on that previously. There's over 50 of them. You just want to avoid all the processed food. Most of it's going to have MSG or MFG in it. Okay, so what I'm showing you is that when you start looking at it this way, you start to realize lots of things are nickel and diming your health. The excessive sodium, the endocrine disrupting chemicals, and all these endocrine disrupting chemicals from BPA to phthalates to PCBs to bromine, etc., the brominated flame retardants and stuff. Almost all of them are also neurologic disruptors. They make you stupid. We talked about what a joke soy is. We talked about atrazine, what a powerful endocrine disruptor that is. About toxic alcohols, and toxic oils form toxic aldehydes. And when you're iron overloaded, you're predisposed to increased risk of oxidative stress and even to something called ferroptosis. And excess copper can do something similar. So the point is, you don't want to eat these iron fortified processed foods or, of course, meats. You don't want to eat, multivitamins that have increased copper in them. So I'm just showing you this to kind of get it, because I talk to a lot of patients and I talk to a lot of people and friends, and again they usually think, well, I'm not as fat as my cousin, or I'm doing okay. And I'm telling you, if you're at all like the average American, you're not doing okay. You probably have a lot more health problems than you realize. So, just once you understand it, the first step to healing is awareness that all these things synergistically work together. So like I said, the diet, low fat, low sodium, 100% vegan, no oil, no caffeine. Caffeine is not good for your health. I know there's a lot of BS artists on the internet trying to make you think coffee and tea is good for you. But when you consider that it increases the exact same hormones as psychological stress, cortisol and catecholamines, adrenaline and noradrenaline, it's obvious that it's bad for your health. F minus in your water is major toxin, okay? It lowers IQ, it lowers fertility. And do you think this is a coincidence that the commonly subsidized foods like, GMO soy sprayed with GP, that those lower IQ, that there are excitotoxins in your brain, that they cause infertility, that this causes infertility, these endocrine disruptors? Do you think that's a coincidence that most of this subsidized stuff lowers your IQ and tends to make you fat, and also tends to make you sick, and tends to make you infertile? Maybe it's because the people who have the power to control that sort of thing, they want you infertile. They want you fat and sick. They want you prematurely to expire. So the way you avoid that is you have to learn about these things so you can avoid them. And, the first step to being intelligent, I think, about how you live your life is to realize that no one cares about you except your family, your mother, your father. Okay, and the reason why, your spouse, maybe, your kids, the reason I say all that is because the people who expect that someone else is going to save them and take care of them, they usually have very bad health outcomes. Versus once you realize, well, gee, I'm on my own. Nobody's ever going to help me. I better get my act together. Then you got a chance, okay? I've gone through, the Peter Rogers, MD, theory of dementia plenty of times. Basically, you have a metabolic rate and a glucose and oxygen delivery, and they're matched. That's neurovascular coupling of blood flow to metabolic rate. If you do things that lower the blood flow, oxygen and glucose delivery, you now get a gap between the metabolic rate and the oxygen and glucose being supplied. That's moderate uncoupling. And then if you start taking stimulants, the equivalent to stimulants, caffeine, sleep deprivation, MSG, MFG, aspartame, excessive psychological stress, tobacco, amphetamines, attention deficit meds, lots of these psych meds, glyphosate, or doing things that increase beta amyloid, you're going to then widen that gap even further to the point where some of your neurons are just going to die going into apoptosis. Okay, and that's the neurovascular uncoupling theory of dementia. I think that and the dilatory theory are the two best ones by far. They tell you exactly what you need to do to protect your brain health. And then a good metaphor for health is just the Mario Brothers. Any video game. Basically, they run around through an obstacle course, and certain things they'll do will give them increased energy points or health points for life. And other things they do, we'll call them mistakes, they lower their energy and health points. And so it's the same thing in life. So you want to learn about the things that are good for you so you can do them, and you want to learn about the things that are bad for you so you can avoid them. And that's the path to health. And I've shown this picture before that, the painting of Gulliver tied down by the Lilliputians. This is basically modern society here. The conventional medical system for most of the common diseases and the chronic diseases is an absolute joke. A bunch of Lilliputians trying to sell you drugs. Okay, don't get me wrong. Your doctors mean well, and some of them know more than others, and there's sometimes when you really do very much need their services for some acute health problems, for example, or some other complex health problems. But for the vast majority of stuff, whether your arteries are open, that's all depends on you. But understanding that you're on your own and that it's actually kind of easy to learn this stuff. A health coach could learn more in 1 month of reading books and studying internet videos than the pre-med doctor learns doing an entire college pre-med, medical school, and a 4-year residency, because they're simply not taught nutrition and toxicology, and those are the most important things.